Thanks for listening to the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast, where each week we talk about a free piece or two of technology that you can use in your classroom. I'm your host, Shanna Martin. I'm a middle school teacher, technology coach, and personalized learning coordinator for my district.
And I'm her producer and husband, Fuzz. Good morning.
Good morning. Hello. Hello. We're doing an odd record time this week.
Yeah, we switched it up mainly because we just needed to switch it up this week due to personal stuff. So yeah, here we are. At the youngest is upstairs watching PBS Kids.
Yep. Design Squad.
Hopefully she stays there throughout the duration of this recording. And the dog is in the kitchen. And who knows? There might be a loud bang, and we may have to pause this.
I think we'll be okay. Okay.
Well, it'll be fine.
Okay. Everyone's settled in. It's good. So yeah. Good morning. Hello. Welcome. So many things. It's always like there's so many things going on. So many things. But this week's focus, we are going to talk a little about some art because I am a big fan of like arts and crafts kind of stuff. It's kind of just a brain break or an escape from things. But I got to hand it to our art teacher right now. She's doing art on a cart because they don't want kids traveling through school.
Yeah.
And she does 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, and the high school classes in a variety of ways. Or I should say 6th, 8th, and then just because of scheduling stuff. And then the high school classes. So she brings all of her art stuff down to my cohort room. And holy cow. Like, anyway, I had to hand it to her. It's not easy.
Also, art on a cart is kind of a funny way of putting things.
Yes. Actually, in a lot of schools, teachers have, like, art teachers don't have their own classrooms, and they do a lot of art on the cart. She's always had her own room, though, so in her high school classes, she's able to still teach there, but she carts it down to the middle school. So I was thinking of her this week, and I was like, oh, obviously, there's still online learners, so I'm like, how are you doing online learning? And she's like, well, she live streams her lessons, and they do stuff at home, and she sends supplies home, and it's just so many things she's doing. So I was thinking of her this week, and I was like, you know, there's so many cool art sites out there, not to replace what she's doing, but just to kind of supplement what she's doing in class. Or like kids, I know they love art, and for brain breaks in other classes, like, hey, check out these things, or, you know, be creative or step away for a little bit and kind of just let your mind wander. So I was pulling some sites that I've used before, but then there was a cool new one that I found. So I figured that I would share them with everybody because we could use a little brain break with some digital art, I figured, this week.
Sounds great.
I have already given you one of them, and you have already started playing with it.
I have.
So we'll start with that one. Our first site is called Bomomo.com. Bomomo.com. B-O-M-O.
Bomomo.
Bomomo.com. And oh my gosh, it's so fun. You have these like squirrely little dots that twirl around on your screen. It gets all straightforward. There's no sign in. There's no make an account. There's none of that kind of stuff, which is great for a brain break kind of activity. And these little dots follow the mouse around on your screen. And it would be great mouse practice for little kids, actually, as I'm doing this. But you click and drag, and the little magic dots draw these beautiful little swirly designs.
Sure, yeah.
On your screen, and it's just fun to watch. It's soothing,
mesmerizing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if you do different things with your mouse, they kind of make thinner lines or thicker lines. But then you have all these choices on the bottom where they do different patterns, like understanding you don't quite know what they're going to do. And then they kind of make these cool designs. There's more like rigid designs. There's one that you kind of click. It reminds me of like a computer, like a software chip kind of thing, or it makes these like rigid squarish kind of connecting lines. There's bigger ones, there's smaller ones, and they make these just click and drag and watch it create some cool art. I don't know, it's just a cool thing to play around with. There's like an app that you can put on your iPhone or your iPad too, so if you just want to put this on your phone, you can.
Yeah.
It's just really a cool thing to do. And then you can click save if you want to. If you love your design, you can save it. Or you can click the blank page and it will blank page you. And you can save the normal or high quality if you want to keep your art and then use it in other places. So it's just a really, for a brain break, just a nice, relaxing activity. And it's just fun to watch. The lines.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm in
so
a trance
mesmerizing.
Right now. Yeah.
But your mind kind of just like relaxes for a minute, and you can just watch these cool little dancing dots make you a pretty picture.
Yeah.
And then if you watch, they continue to move. So even if you're not moving them, like they don't sit still.
Right.
They're like antsy little dots that like
they
want
draw
to make more
once
art.
You click. Yeah.
So it's just a cool thing.
Agreed.
So Bomomo.
Bomomo.com.
What a great, cool art and color and
just kind of mesmerizing, relaxing tool.
So basically, try it out. Just go try it and sit there, and I think kids will love it. And it's just a cool piece of art that will
BOMOMO.com. Bomomo.
Yeah.
Bomomo.
I showed it to one of my students who's very into art just because I was playing around with things, and she was like, wow, that is so cool. And then she came up with all these ideas she could use it for. She's like, I could save it. I could use backgrounds on my next Google slideshow. Like, she just came up with all this stuff. I'm like, wow, I was just playing with it because it's kind of memorizing and calming. But she was like, I can use this here and I can use this there. It's like, oh, yeah, those are great ideas. So cool.
Yeah.
Check it out. That's a fun one. Our second one also is a very easy, and that's why these are kind of like brain break art for me. They are easy sites, go directly to them. There's no sign in kind of stuff. And it's jacksonpollock.org. JACKSONPOLLOCK.org. And literally.
Oh, it's like just right when you get there.
Yes. You're
drawing
mouse,
Jackson Pollock paintings.
You are now an artist. Like there's nothing. The one thing I have played around with is that if you click with the mouse, it goes from black and white art to colored art.
Yep.
So you then have color if you click on with the mouse, and it switches back and forth. So you can switch it back to black too if you want to.
Can you do anything with this besides
play with it?
Yeah.
You just play with it.
Okay. So it's not.
You could take a screenshot if you wanted to.
Oh yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, when you're done with it. It's just very. Yep. It just makes Jackson Pollock art. And what I think would be great for, and I like see this as like definitely like calming, click around, like make some cool abstract art.
Yep.
You can definitely screenshot to keep this one. But cool conversation starters with students. Like, what do you see in this picture? Or you and I both know we have the littlest in the house who is the queen of scribble pictures, where she draws something and then she wants us to turn it into something, and we talk about what she's drawn or like what she wants to create. But this to me goes along those lines. Like, what do you see in this? Like, all art doesn't have to be like spelled out to you. Like, what does this remind you of? How does your brain work? Are there certain colors that you see more than others? Are there, just like kind of cool conversations? Also, when you're able to touch and do things again, this would be cool to do on the smartboard. But it just makes cool Jackson Pollock art.
Yeah,
and
it's cool, like splatter painting kind of style.
And it's just very, again, relaxing, and can draw students in and have great discussions, and it's just relaxing. And I think that's what a little brain break is for, a little 3-minute brain break of Jackson Pollock art. Yeah. And it might get some kids interested then in like what other pieces of art Jackson Pollock has created.
Right. And his importance in the art community. Sure.
Yeah. So I thought that was cool, and a cool way to kind of introduce that to kids. So jacksonpollock.org.
.org.
That one is very, very straightforward as well. So Bomomo, jacksonpollock.org. Our last one is a little more
teachy.
Teachy. Yep, it's teachy.
It's teachy.
This one It's called Vector, VECTR.com. And what it is what it is I feel like I say that, I'm like,
what it is.
You can use this one online or create a login. So this is where you can choose or which one you want to do. But it is free vector graphics software. So
it's kind of like Adobe Illustrator would be, or any kind of vector art creating piece of software. Like you can do this kind of stuff in Photoshop and others as well. But it teaches you the basics of creating vector art, which is very important if you want to become an artist or like a professional designer or even working in web design and just product design, those kinds of things. It gives you all the basics that you need to learn if you were going to be using Photoshop or that, but it's a step-by-step like guided path to
right
working.
And what I thought for like brain breaks is some of our kids, we have longer brain breaks. We don't always have like recess and stuff in middle school, but if they have some longer time to work or create or try new things, the videos in this, so there's built-in videos that walk you through step by step of the process. So as a teacher, you don't have to have any expertise in creating vector art. But for kids that are interested or just trying new things or kind of exploring, it's a really cool way because you can just use it online. They don't have to have an account, but you probably would want to because you can save to keep going through. But there's these step-by-step videos that walk you through each step of the process. So kids can explore and kind of learn. And I know a lot of my students like dive into a video and like start clicking around and trying things out right away, which is awesome. And for a brain break, it gets them away from things that they're not usually creating vector art in class. Like they could make it for class. Like that would be cool. Create some vector art for like a science project or sharing maybe some reading that they're doing and create it, for a character or laying out their information in some way so they could use this for, in any class. But what a cool way to have a brain break and kind of learn a new skill, like a 20% time kind of thing, or, creating that way. So it's really cool. It walks you through each of the steps. It's got your different shapes. It's got your letters. And then, so you've got like your layers on one side and your pages, and it walks you through those steps. And then on the right-hand side, it gives you like grids and file settings and how to export it and your dimensions. So it gives you the basics of setting up vector files, which I think is really kind of a neat idea. Yeah,
I think learning what each of the tools means is very important in that too. So it's kind of cool.
Instead of just like clicking around. And I mean, I'm all about clicking around and trying things. But at the same time, like, that image, like that's what that actually means. Sometimes there are things that you
don't click on them because you don't know what they
could or don't do, and then you're like, oh my gosh, it deleted the whole thing.
Or even like I didn't know it could have just done that for me, and I tried doing it all these different ways. So I really like this. This is good for learning.
For learning,
it's very teachy.
Fantastic.
No, but I could
but a great way to learn
for a while too. So.
And if you need more of a structured brain break, not like structured, but to give the kids like all a task, like, hey, we're just going to try something out new. Like we're just going to take a step back and take 10 minutes a day and learn a new skill. And here you go. You can learn how to create cool vector files and then think of all the ways that we can use these in class. I know I'm always having the kids design logos for stuff, or if they've like, we're doing manufacturing robotic stuff. I'm like, okay, like what would you do if you were creating a company and how would you design a logo? And we use AutoDraw and stuff like that, but this would be a fun one for those that want to explore a little further, another way to make something. So it's Vector, VECTR.com. And again, there's cool videos that kind of walk you through. It's like it's introductory. It tells you what you need to know. You got your pencil tools and your layering tools and everything there that you need to create some cool vector files.
Nice.
Which is kind of schnaz.
It is schnaz.
Very schnaz. So yeah, so I figured a little art, some brain breaks, lighten it up, and you can now continue on Bomomo, and I'm sure it's going to go onto your phone at some point.
Maybe. It might.
Hey, you can do that at work too, have some Bomomo brain breaks.
I just need a little Bomomo time.
See? Everybody needs
to
a
get
little Bomomo
my
time.
brain reset. Yes.
There you go. See?
Needing some of that lately. Working here in the basement. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but hey, that's how projects get done around the house.
Yes, we were sitting amongst a torn apart basement.
Yeah.
It'll be amazing by the end of the day today.
It will.
Well, thanks for tuning in. This has been the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast. If you ever have any questions, you can find me on SmartNWI at Twitter. At Twitter, smart
around Twitter near Twitter.
And if you have any questions, you can always get more information on the links and the links to the technology discussed in this episode. Visit smartnwi.com. It's pretty snazzy. Check out the fun t-shirts. I've started wearing them all. New episodes each week. Thanks for listening. Go educate and innovate.
The ideas and opinions expressed in this podcast and the Smart NWI website are those of the author, Shanna Martin, and not of her employer. Prior to using any of the technologies discussed in this podcast, please consult with your employer regulations. This podcast offers no guarantee that these tools will work for you as described, but we hope they do. Have a great week.